कृतं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. Hare Krishna everyone. Today I will continue reading 21st chapter of Prabupada Lilamrita. Jagannatha had designed the cover using a pen and ink drawing of Radha Krishna similar to his painting in the temple. It was a simple drawing set within a pattern of concentric circles. The first page opened with the same motto Prabhupada had used for years on his back to Godhead. Godhead is light, Nishans is darkness. Where there is Godhead, there is no Nishans. And on the same page, Hayagriva had not been able to resist giving a quotation from William Blake approved by Swamiji, which substantiated the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. God appears and God is light to those poor souls who dwell in night, and there's a human form display to those who dwell in realms of day. Although the editorial spoke of Blake, White Man, and Jesus Christ is stressed. It is to teach the science of devotion of God that Swami Bhaktivedanta has come to America. His message is simple: the chanting of the holy name to God, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, following the orders of his spiritual master, His Divine Grace Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. Swami Bhaktivedanta began the initial publication of Back to Godhead in 1944. This bi-monthly, published from 1944 to 1956 in Vrindavan, India, established Swami Bhaktivedanta as the leading personalist in India. This issue marks the first publication of Back to Godhead in the West. The main article, a summary of a lecture given by Prabhupada, was based on notes taken by Umapati. It has been said that when we wake up and when we go to sleep, we should beat our mind 1,000 times with a shoe. When the mind says things like, why sing Hare Krishna? Why not take LSD? We should beat it with the same shoe. However, if we always think of Krishna, no beating will be necessary. The mind will be our best friend. And there was an article by Hayagriva, Flip Out and Stay. Hayagriva had quoted liberally from Hart Crane and Walt Whitman. No wonder so many young colleagues are trying to flip out permanently on super drugs. Perhaps this is their way of saying, we don't want any part of this hell you have made for yourselves. So this use of psychedelic springboard to propel themselves into different realms, but drug flip is only temporary. It is temporary because it is artificial. One really begins to wonder where all these trips are leading. Hayagreva concluded that Krishna Kirtana is the quickest way to flip out without coming down. Your associates will think you mad. This is the first sign of progress. Just let others be mad for Maya, the old ephemeral use of woman and gold, but you be mad instead of for the reality. In the back of magazine was an ad for Swamiji's essays, Krishna, the reservoir of pleasure and who is crazy, and notice soon to be printed Gitopanishad or Bhagavad Gita as it is, translated with commentaries by Swami Bhaktivedanta. Prabhupada's first main instruction to his editors had been that they should produce the magazine regularly every month. Even if they did not know how to sell the copies, or even if they only turned out 2 pages, they had to continue bearing the standard. He called Hayagreva to his room and presented him a complete 3 volume set of his Srimad Bhagavatam. On the front page of each volume, he had written to Shriman Hayagriva Das Brahmachari with my blessings, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Hayagriva was grateful and mentioned that he had not been able to afford them. That's all right. That's all right, Prabhupada said. Now you complete this back to Godhead. Work sincerely and make it as big as Time magazine. Prabhupada wanted all his disciples to take part in it. Don't be dull, he said. Write something. He wanted to give his disciples back to Godhead for their own preaching. Brahmananda and Gargamuni took the first issues out that the same night on bicycles, riding on every head shop on the Lower East Side, all the way to 14th Street and as far um, west as the West Village until they had distributed all 100 issues. This was an increase in the preaching. Now all his students could take part in the work, typing, editing, writing, assembling, selling. It was his preaching, of course, but he was not alone anymore. Over a short 4 months, the society has expanded sufficiently to warrant a larger quarters than the small Second Avenue storefront temple, stated the editorial in the second issue of Back to Godhead. Prabhupada had not abandoned his idea for a big building in New York City. Greenwich Village real estate was too expensive and Midtown was out of question. But Prabhupada still said he wanted to buy a building. It was difficult for his followers to think of Krishna consciousness as anything more than a Lower East Side movement because but the people of Lower East Side would be interested in Krishna consciousness anyway, who had money to buy a building in Manhattan. But one day Ravindra Swarupa had happened to meet someone, a wealthy Jewish head who was sympathetic toward youth movements, who agreed to loan Swamiji $5,000. Ravindra Swarupa had arranged the loan, and Swamiji had designated the money as his building fund, to which he had gradually added another $5,000 that he had collected through incidental donations. But with suitable buildings starting at $100,000, even this sum seemed pretty. Swamiji went with Brahmananda to look at a building on a 6th street that had previously been the Jewish Providential Bank. It had a larger lobby with a mezzanine marble floors and atmosphere of a temple. Brahmananda suggested that the vault area could be remodeled for use as a dormitory, and Swamiji considered the mezzanine for his own apartment. The large lobby, he said, could be used for kirtanas and lectures. On leaving the building, however, Prabhupada noted that it was located on the corner by a bus stop. Yeah, it would not be a good location. The Gaudiya Mutt, a branch at Bug Bazar in Calcutta, he said, was also located at a bus stop, and noisy engines of buses as they started up created a disturbance. Prabhupada next looked at the temple, Emmanuel, also on 6th Street on the Lower East Side. It was even larger than the bank building. And when some of Swamiji's disciples walked through the corners and empty rooms, they became bewildered to think how even if they could get such a place, they would be able to manage or use it. Okay, I'll stop it. And my realization from today's reading is Jagannatha, an artist, designed the ISKCON Press magazine cover with Radha Krishna drawing using pen and ink, similar to painting in the temple. And Prabhupada's first publication in America is Back to Godhead, and he was publishing it in India since 1944 to 1956, and one of his early disciples, Umapati, took notes during Prabhupada class that was published in Back to Godhead magazine, and it was a bi-weekly magazine, and in the first magazine, Hayagriva written an article, and in that article, he stressed to stay happy by chanting the holy name rather than taking drugs like LSD. Also, he quoted that one must beat up mind when wakes up, and again beat up his mind when he goes to sleep, 1,000 times with a shoe. And however, if one is able to always think of Krishna, then beating is not necessary. And Prabhupada wanted Hayagriva to make Back to Godhead as big as Time magazine, and Brahmananda and Gargamuni took that magazine and distributed 100 copies of first printing. In this way, the disciples of Prabhupada engaged in printing, publishing, and distributing Back to Godhead magazine.